Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Got a little project working on. Figure I would say hi to everybody. Hope you all doing well. Radar FPV sent me my little project, and I have been working on it and working on it and working on it, and stumped and stumped and stumped. And I'll explain why. And this just goes to show you in this hobby, regardless if you're a week into it or 7 years, you still get stumped. It just, and I it's probably the receiver, but I'm gonna upgrade or flash the firmware and all that stuff. But long story short, I think if Radar flew Fly Sky, whatever the heck it was different protocol. So swap out the receiver, which is that one. Oh, dropped it. I don't know if this is a multiple protocol based on this quad where you flash it, change it, blah blah blah. Because all the receivers look exactly the same regardless of what protocol you fly. But I just decided to take it out, not mess with it, throw it across the room, and threw it in the garbage. Had to retrieve it just in case. I had purchased, which I've used before, these beta full send or full speed receivers. And the difference, other than being that it's a micro Spektrum receiver, is that this one takes 5 volts instead of, oh, you like my nails? Doing some hydro dipping for my buddy's AR mags. Yeah, so I got all kinds of color all over my hands. But anyway, regular 5 volt instead of the 3.3. Even though this has a 3.3 pad, and I didn't know that until I opened her up and started messing with it, that I actually, way back, if you've been following me for a while, one of my first micro builds, it was a 1S 70 or 85 millimeter quad. I think it was 75. I called the Run. And I use this stack. It's the Super S 16 by 16 stack, and I've only found it on Banggood. That's where I ended up getting it. It's a happy model quad. It's the Mantis 85. So I was like, okay, I'll just do what I do. I'll wire this up to the pads. I got the printout for it, so I found where the pads go, blah blah blah, over there, and then go into beta flight and then do the CLI commands to make it activate and go into bind mode. And I did it roughly 8 times, being generous, modest, whatever, and I could not get it to go into bind mode no matter what I did. I checked I'm getting 5 volt, I'm getting the ground, everything's fantastic. Just won't light up. And I think I had the same problem when I did this the first time many years ago. So I threw a major temper tantrum and got all frustrated. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a piece of cake. So what happened was he had this sit in, and I was talking about it, and I was like, oh man, that was one of my favorite quads back in the day. Never got my hands on it. He's like, I'll send it to you. So I put the new ESC board in that he had purchased and sent with it, which is killer, kick-ass Rader FPV. And I wired it up. I tested my motors, so they're all spinning in the proper direction, which is fantastic. I added a big-ass LED to it just so I'd find it. And I replaced the beeper because the beeper wasn't working. I set it up in beta flight, did all the things that you're supposed to do, and it just didn't work. No big deal. So I'm unfortunately going to use the standard diversity larger excuse me, receiver that I always use in all of them. It's going to be a pain in the ass because you have such a limited space. So I made some room. I actually changed the design of this. Usually have just a single post in the back that holds it up, and I removed it and I found standoffs that fit. Let me see if I can get in there better. Standoffs that fit. I isolated the flight control a little bit so it'll be soft mounted, sort of speak. Not that this one really needs it based on how the other one flew. Added a standoff on the top, little nylon nut on the top, cut it so it's no extra standoff hanging on the top. There is not one in here. I just didn't put it on. I just wanted to put the top on just for showing you guys so it's all together. Yeah, so sort of a custom setup, I guess. This was a 1.9 inch prop that came on it, which it's not a huge difference. I think these are Gem fans also, maybe the Hulkies. I forget which ones. I've used these a whole bunch. They're great props. But I have a F-ton of 2-inch. That's what these are, the Gem fans. That's hence the hat. I finally broke down and got a new hat. Been working on the brim. I don't know why it's so dusty already. I'm a stickler. I'm an old school guy where not that flat brim stuff today. Actually cut out some of the netting in the inside to soften it up. Still got to clean it. But old school where I like, what the hell is all the hair? My God. That's what you get when you have huge long-haired cats. Working on the brim. It's an old school thing. If you know what I'm talking about. You spend weeks. I actually usually dip the rim in boiling water to soften up the rim. If you get a good hat, it's a hard brim. You bend it into the shape. You stick it in a cup with rubber bands for a week or two so it sits and forms to it, and then you have the tight brim. I didn't do that yet. I just did the rubber bands overnight. So it's about there. It needs a little bit more. And like I said, I can't stand the hats that are high here, so it comes straight up and it doesn't fit my head. So it's nice and soft now, so it actually fits a little more. But yeah, something different. Anyway, I don't have a battery. Do I have a battery? Let's see if I have a battery handy. So he sent me some batteries. Also, he sent me 3 of the Beta FPV. Hold on, I'm trying to multitask here. So I can show you. I'm going to grab my stand. I'm going to put you in my stand real quick here. See if I can do this without shutting off the camera. Ah, there we go. Look at it. 2 hands. So he sent me a bunch of these, and these are decent batteries. Can't complain. I cut off the JST connector to save just a tiny bit of weight. I can't believe how long these leads are. That's crazy. I'm sure I'll get 3 minutes with these, but I am a huge fan of the 650s, so I got the flat. I got 2 of these, and based on flying with Pearl with the skinnier version of the 650s versus the 450s, I'm getting 5, 6, 7 minutes with it because it's more of a chill flyer. And this thing's not going to be any rocket ship, only being 2S, but it'll be a fun, tiny exploring. And you can't gauge how small. It's 85 millimeters. I mean, like I said, big hand, but this thing is tiny, so it'd easily get lost, but it's going to be a lot of fun. But finding a strap was a pain in the balls. So I had some, I don't know what it came from, but some grippy stuff that I custom cut. Not it's custom, I fit it to it, and these fit great, but finding a strap was a pain in the balls. And I'll show you the LED real quick, and it's an older one. I think it came off my Storm SRD 280 something, my first quad. So it's got the little dipsticks. There's a joke there. So you can change it whatever color. So it's not programmable. Don't need it to be. Not a big deal. Let me plug it in. So it's still bright. Turn off the light here. So I mean, it's silly bright still. So you'll find this thing, and then obviously when we're horsing around flying together, get plenty of light. So no complaints there. There was no other place to really put it because obviously this is bottom mounted, so you can't put LEDs. And then I have the LEDs that you put on the arms, so when you fly they get brighter and stuff, but there is not much arm there to do, and I didn't feel like messing with that. This is the first time I've ever seen motors that come with different color wires. And the way that I was taught, again, and it may not be right, so if somebody wants to comment and let me know, so you got 3 pads on the ESC, and you got 3 motor wires. So I have religiously, and I don't use BL Heli or any of that stuff to change if I get it wrong. I actually flip the wires, but always put the center wire, because I thought the center wire was your signal, to the center pad, and then left and right, left and right. So you got your 3, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And if the motor didn't spin in the direction that I needed or liked, I just flipped the outside 2, and that would change the direction, and then they'd spin in the direction that you want. The way that this is wired is not like that at all. I just copied the way I wrote down a little. I just copied what color wires were where and copied it again when I rewired everything to see if it worked, and they worked. So the way that I've always done it doesn't go with that. So I'm like, maybe you can swap any 2 wires. I don't know. If anybody has that answer, yeah, I would love to be educated, because maybe I was taught wrong, and who knows. But either way, I've always figured it out. I said a lot of guys just leave it, they wire it whatever way it is, and if it doesn't spin the right way, they plug it into the program on the computer for the new guys. and then you can literally just flip it via computer and make it spin. But I'm like, yeah, just one more thing. While I'm already there, I can just flip 2 wires, because I tend to customize the distance of my wires and make them look as neat as possible, which the only thing that sucks is that the wires are all those colors, so it stands out a little bit more. But hey, it is what it is. It's a little dinky micro. This is the first time I've ever used on a larger quad other than the tiny whoop. And it's not an all-in-one, but it is. You have your camera, an AOI all-in-one camera, and on the back it has what they call a piggyback VTX. Only 25 milliwatts, but that'll be fine because I've never had a problem. I can get the range that I want out of that. This isn't really playing in the trees and going to have a lot of obstacles in front of me. This is just going to be like a little yard ripper for a small inside location, like a gymnasium. This would be the little rocker. But it has your VTX right there on the back. You can see the wires, and there's a ton of LEDs. And I think, yeah, there's a couple buttons. If I can get my painted pink finger. Hold on, let's use see if it'll focus right there. There we go. You got 2 buttons here to change your channel and frequencies, and it actually, there you go. It will actually show you with the LEDs, not that you want that. And because you got the goggles, you got the on-screen display in your goggles that tell you your channel and all that, and you can set that up. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I just got to wait for the receiver. It should take a couple days, and by the luck of God, it'll just plug in, bind it. That one's simple. I don't have to do any binding procedure per se. I plug it in, plug in the battery, and then once it realizes there are a couple seconds that there is no signal, it starts flashing, going into bind mode. I bind it. As long as I'm on the right port. If anybody has ever used this, I would love another question answered, because I can't remember. You have a 3.3 volt, a DSM pad, and your grounds and stuff over here. And then on the front side where the other receiver was, it's 5 volt ground and an S-bus pad. Spektrum is S-bus. So why would you put the 3.3 volt pad next to DSM? So, and then what UART it is. I have no idea. I don't know if that's a UART 2. I know there's only 3. There's UART 1, 3, and 6. So I don't know why it doesn't even go 1, 2, 3. But I'm pretty sure 6 is the LED port, because I know some people use telemetry or something like that, and they can use the LED port for that. But I'm assuming the front one is 1, this is 3. We'll find out. So I got to play that game with it to get my receiver to talk to it. If not, I'm going to rip the whole stack out and start all over again, because I just can't stand that guessing game and messing around. But I got to get some cleaning done, get prepared for the Super Bowl this evening. Got a bunch of food. It is snowing out. We're supposed to get like 5 to 8, which means it could be 1 inch or we could get 6 feet of snow, because, you know, weather people are wrong 99% of the time. But yeah, let me know what you think of the cool little builds. Any recommendations if you have ever worked with this and can give me any info, which would be nice, on the Super 4, I think it is. It's a Banggood micro 16x16 stack. I'd love the extra help just to make my setup just a little bit easier. So yeah, you guys have a great Super Bowl. I'm not super excited because I don't care about either teams, and no offense, I can't stand Brady. Hated the Patriots, even though I'm from New England. I'm a Cowboys fan. But you know, hoping the commercials are good this year. That's what I miss from the 90s. That's where it was at. It was the great commercials and stuff. So yeah, have a safe day. We'll see you guys soon. As usual, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what's going on, what you recommend, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Seinfeld reference. Peace.